Jerry Moody.
Has joined the meeting.
Tim Brewer.
Has joined the meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Oh,
Oh, you got quite a bit of echo going on, John.
how's that, Mike? Is that better?
That's a whole lot better. Yes, sir.
I thought your dad was on here a minute ago. Let's see him.
I'm supposed to be
John,
logged
can you hear
in.
me?
Oh, I hear him. Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't see you on the screen because you're just on the phone, so
Correct.
that works.
John, can you hear me?
Ken, who's speaking?
That's a guess. You got to guess that one.
Oh, that'll be Brett.
This is Tim.
Oh, Tim. Okay, I don't see. You're on.
Tom Hall, KYTC District 5 office.
Has joined the meeting.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
Tim was on, but he didn't show up.
Jim?
Has joined the
Yes.
meeting.
Ken Jones.
Has joined the meeting.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and try to get this started. As everyone knows, we're on a different format. We're on WebEx instead of Zoom, so this is our maiden voyage on WebEx, and we've actually a resident of Spencer County here to help us with this because he is with Cisco. And, so anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. Is Jim on here? Those that called in a phone, we can't see you as a panelist, but we can hear you. So is Jim on? I don't hear him.
I know he had a doctor's appointment this morning. I'm not sure if he made it back yet or not.
Okay, that answers my second question. We've got Tim on here, and I know we've got Jerry on here. So, and Ken Jones is on. What happens with WebEx is when you call in on the phone, it doesn't list you as a panelist. It lists you as an attendee, and I can't see you, but I can hear you. I'm sorry? Jim, are you on now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. If
Yeah.
that's, well, we're,
Yeah, I've been here all the time.
oh, okay, I just couldn't hear you and I can't see you.
That might be a good thing.
No, well, I tell you what, I'm gonna let you go ahead and start us off with a prayer before we start the meeting.
All right, we'll do. Our Father God in heaven, we thank you so much for this
Ken
day. We
Jones.
thank you
Has
for
left the meeting.
this opportunity to discuss our county business today. We ask you for your wisdom and guidance in this meeting, and we ask you, thank you for all the blessings you give us each and every day. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order, and if the clerk will please call the roll. I believe Lynn is muted.
Squire Brewer,
Here.
Squire Mike Moody,
Here.
Squire Beaverson,
Here.
Judge Riley,
Here.
Squire Travis,
Here.
Squire Jerry Moody.
Here, I'm picking up a lot of static.
I don't know how to fix that.
Okay, we've got a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and we're doing a little bit of troubleshooting here. I'm not sure I understand the noise and the feedback we were getting on Lynn. Lynn, you might have two devices as I do. I've got one for a camera, one for audio.
Ken Jones.
Has joined the meeting.
Hey, Ken, how are you?
Can I outside of one of these?
You've got two devices, Lynn. When you speak, we're getting feedback. If you can mute one of those devices, that would help. Okay, so just bear with me just a minute. Okay, the first item of business is approval of the minutes to the previous court meetings, and we'll take August 17th. Need a motion to approve those minutes.
Squire Brewer make a motion to approve the minutes with any changes necessary.
We've got a motion.
Second.
And
Mike Moody.
Mike Moody seconded. Any corrections that need to be noted or additions? If not, call the roll, please. Looks like Lynn has left the meeting. She's still on one device that's muted. I don't know. She's only on one, I guess, one device that I can see, and it's muted.
For hosting, they could be on mute the one that's muted on the thing and say,
I don't know. Lynn, can you hear me? Oh, she's
Yes.
unmuted now. Okay. Go ahead and call the roll on the motion.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and next is August 21st special meeting. Need a motion to approve those with any corrections?
Squire Brewer make a motion to approve the August 21st meeting with any corrections necessary.
We got a motion,
Second.
and Squire Beaverson seconded it.
Yes.
Okay. I have one correction that I want to note, and it's on item C. You've got the same KRS on there. It should be KRS, and it was on the agenda for that meeting, KRS 61.815 and KRS 61.810F. If that could be corrected. Any other corrections? Call the roll, please.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody, Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody.
Abstain due to absence.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next up is communications from Judge Executive. You've got in your packet, I believe, the update on the Census 2020. Those should be, the census should be confirmed sometime in January, I believe. So anxious to see what those results are for county. Couple of other things that I'd like to note. Bear with me. The Love Lane and Dutchman's Creek projects are nearing completion. I believe Dutchman's Creek might be complete. Tim, I believe those are in, one of them's in your district, and I think other one's in Jerry's possibly. Obviously, we've moved our meetings to the WebEx platform. We feel like once we get all the, it's going to be an adjustment period to the WebEx. But I believe it's going to work better for us once everybody is accustomed to it. And so anyway, we've adjusted our meeting agenda, and I've moved, and I know Roy Legaspi had asked the question about the public comment. I've moved public comment toward the end of the meeting because we do have a considerable amount of very important issues that we need to discuss and business that we need to take care of. So I moved that to the end of our meeting so we can go ahead and get on with some of this business that we need to take care of.
All the more reason to have public comments at the beginning.
Well, that will move back, but for this meeting, I moved it to the end. We've got the 5th district. I don't want to keep them on forever, and some other folks that we're going to be hearing from. So also very sad news that I got, you all may have seen this, that Judge Executive Jerry Lynn from Meade County passed away on Sunday. So
Scott Herndon.
Has joined the meeting.
so anyway, everybody keep his family in prayers, and it was quite a shock. I know I've tried to introduce most of you to Jerry Lynn at some of these conferences, and just a great guy. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to communications from and reports from members, other offices, and committees. And the first up is Kentucky Transportation Cabinet District 5. Wanted to go ahead and get them up to give this presentation. And I'm not sure.
Judge Riley, Matt Bullock here, but I don't know if I have Tom Hall on the line or not. Tom, are you out there?
Yeah, I'm out here. I'm hearing an interesting echo. But I'm ready to give a presentation. Thanks, Judge Riley, for the introduction, and thanks for having us, members of the court. As you guys know, the state every year we come visit you guys in usually in the springtime, and the purpose is to seek concurrence on rural secondary road paving in Spencer County. We get a budget every year, and our purpose is to select the roads that we think are in the worst condition, and as a part of our state requirements, we get Spencer County's approval through the fiscal court. Normally we come out and do an in-person meeting, but with COVID-19, we're doing it virtually, and we're a little later in the year than we normally would. Our rural secondary paving program has been sort of delayed, so we'll get that work out. We're just not sure when. But the packet, can you guys hear me pretty good?
We're getting a really bad echo. I don't know if you've got more than one device near you. We're getting a significant echo.
How about now?
Oh, that's maybe a little better. We'll see.
Okay. Basically, what we do is we explain that last year we did some rural secondary paving. We did Plumbridge Road.
Has joined the meeting.
We did some paving on Plumbridge Road, Kentucky 1169, and we did some paving on Kings Church Road, Kentucky 1319, and we're just giving you an update on that. The next thing is part of the rural secondary budget is asking the county if they'd like to use some of the rural secondary paving dollars to do some paving on local roads, and we recognize that Spencer County is using their portion of rural secondary money called flex dollars to do local road paving. And so we sort of remove that from our available budget to pave state rural secondary routes. So the next thing is just an explanation of what we're doing. Our project work this year in Spencer County is fairly limited. Of course, the route we would want to be paving is Kentucky 1060 Plum Creek Road from Kentucky 44 to Kentucky 1319. That's basically the single resurfacing project we'd like to do. But to supplement that, we would like to do a bunch of culvert work and pipe replacements along that route as well. So we've provided what we call the long sheet, our TC 20-11 form, and it sort of provides a discussion of that we're replacing one box culvert and 2 large pipes and other various cross drains along that route. And it makes sense to do that because while we are, we dig up the pipes and replace them, it kind of messes up the pavement. We can come back later and resurface, which is what our intent is for this road. So basically 2 projects on one road. First, fix some drainage problems and then do resurfacing. And that's on Kentucky 1060 Plum Creek Road from Kentucky 44 to Kentucky 1319. And that's what our map shows. It shows projects items 3 and item 4. One of those represents the resurfacing, and one of those represents various drainage improvements along that route. And so what we're asking the court to do today is to provide comments or a concurrence on this work, and if we get the concurrence, we'll move forward. We usually ask for that concurrence one of two ways, either by putting it, having the court put that in the meeting minutes that they approve our recommendations, or alternatively, a resolution that the court can come up with. But we'll leave that to you guys. Any questions?
Well, I'm going to open it up to Squire Brewer. I think that is in his district, and I'm sure he's going to want to make a motion maybe to go ahead and approve that recommendation.
I will, but I'd like to ask, do you have a time date on when this is going to happen?
Well, we don't, because all of our state-funded paving resurfacing projects are on hold right now, which is very unusual. But as you know, we've been receiving far less income from the gas tax because less people have been driving. So the budget has been really, really low. What the intent is, August is our low month where we have the least available funding. After August, I think the state will judiciously move forward with paving projects as state funding becomes available.
Okay.
So we don't have a good answer for you.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendations from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet on resurfacing Kentucky 1060 and the necessary drainage pipe issues that are required for repair.
Sounds like a good motion. I need a second.
This is Jerry. I'll second.
Okay.
And Jerry seconded that. Any comments, other questions from anybody on this? If not, call the roll, please.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beavis.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Go ahead, Tom.
All right. Well, I don't have anything further.
Does anybody have any questions of the 5th District while we've got them on here?
Yeah, this is Jim. I do have one question on the flex funds. Can that money be used for repair work other than just resurfacing?
That's a great question. Certain elements of repair can be eligible. I'm not the best guy. I don't run that program. Craig Caudle at our Office of Local Programs really is the ultimate decider of eligibility, and so he's the best guy to ask that question. But I can certainly help facilitate answers to those questions if you want to send me an email or give me a call at the district office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Squire Brewer here. Do we have any update on the bridge off of 44 out in, was it District 1?
Yeah, that's actually District 7. That's actually District 7, and the contract has been signed on that. They're doing everything they can to go ahead and get that underway, but they have, I think, until next August to complete it, but they're expecting something far in advance of that. Brett, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
No, that pretty well covers it. I think Representative Tipton, he's been on it real well and has helped push get some work done.
Okay. Any other questions of the 5th District? If not, Tom, I appreciate you being on here. And who else do we have from the 5th District on here?
Matt Bullock's here.
Oh, hi, Matt. How are you doing?
Doing well.
Scott's there too.
Oh, hey, Scott. If any of the members of Fiscal Court have any questions, these are the guys to talk to. They're available anytime, but not in a public meeting like this. So,
Hey, Matt, Jim Travis. the Washburn Lane Bridge, what's the status on it right now?
It's start this week, and it's got a completion date of May 1st of next year.
All right, great. Thank you.
Did I hear that right, Matt? It's going to start this week?
No,
Well,
no, it's it probably won't start till November or
I
December.
thought so, yeah. November, December is what I'd heard, so.
I'm looking at a spreadsheet that's listed as this week's start, but yeah, a completion of May 1st is per contract.
Right. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Scott, Matt, Tom, appreciate you all being on here. Appreciate what you all do, and particularly under the circumstances we're all working under with the virus and so forth. So, and apologize for the unusual meeting. This is our maiden voyage on WebEx, so we're kind of getting adjusted to that. So, but anyway, we appreciate you being here.
All right, thanks for having us this morning.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Bob.
Okay, next up is Chris Kemp. Chris, are you on?
Tom Hall, KYTC District 5 office.
Has left the meeting.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Looks like we're due for a COVID update. The health department's continuing to do weekly testing next door to us down here at EMS. We're seeing pretty steady numbers. We're keeping between 15 and 20 cases in the county each week. We do have 2 EMS employees off after an exposure, and they're on 14-day quarantine. Other than that, I don't have any big updates on COVID.
Okay. Yeah, and Chris told me about that yesterday, and it's something that's going to be a challenge for us, obviously, with some of our EMS paramedics actually on quarantine. So, huge challenge. Anybody got any questions of Chris with regard to COVID, or if not, we're going to move on. I did hear Julie on here. We've got things and recommendations. Hi, Julie.
Are you ready for me?
We are.
Okay. I have a first reading, so this requires no action. I have the application of Janet Willoughby requesting a zone change on track 21A consisting of 1.003 acres from Ag 1 agricultural to R3 residential. I have track 21 as 5.293 acres from Ag 1 agricultural to Ag 2 agricultural located at 2298 Murphy Lane. Commissioner Fowl made the motion on the zoning portion for Janet Willoughby from Ag 1 agricultural to R3 residential on the 1.033 acres, lot 21A, and Ag 1 agricultural to Ag 2 agricultural on 5.293 acres, shown as the remainder of lot 21 located at 2296 Murphy Lane. It calls for low density residential, and the change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. There was no one there on the video link against it. It was seconded by Commissioner Mudd. There was no additional discussion. Motion carried. Again, that is a first reading.
Okay.
I have 2 second readings. I have the application of Emma Neal Chowning Estate requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R1 residential on 29.18 acres, which is tracts 1 through 11. I have Ag 1 agricultural to Ag 2 agricultural on 19.02 acres, which is tracts 12 through 14, and Ag 1 agricultural to B3 commercial on 15.51 acres, which is tracts 15 and 16. Property is located at 1075 Chowning Lane. Commissioner Travis made a motion to approve the application of the Emma Neal Chowning requesting the Ag 1 agricultural to R1 residential on tracts 1 through 11, consisting of 29.18 acres. Ag 1 agricultural to Ag 2 agricultural, tracts 12 through 14, consisting of 19.02 acres. And Ag 1 agricultural to B3 commercial on tracts 15 and 16, consisting of 15.51 acres. This meets the recommendation for low density with a comprehensive plan. Due to the construction of Taylorsville Lake, the economic, fiscal, and social changes in the area has created a need for proposed commercial use to accommodate tourist needs at the lake. Nelson County gave their blessing for Spencer County to handle the zoning and plat approval on all of the acreage platted. They binding elements that all homes will be stick-built homes on site, and it's based on, they're going to do plat approval based on zoning being approved through fiscal court. They also included a sheet that the surveyor included with the application as part of the exhibit. Motion was second by Commissioner Mudd. Motion carried.
That's in Jerry Moody's district.
East District.
I suspect Jerry may want to make a motion on that.
Okay, this is Jerry. I don't have the paper in front of me on the wording, but recommend a motion to accept that on the fact of planning and zoning. Oh, that's not the right verb.
Okay, it sounded like maybe your motion was to go ahead and approve the zone change based on findings of fact and recommendation of planning and zoning.
Correct.
Okay, so we've got a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Second.
We've got quite a few seconds. I believe that was Mike Moody was first on that. So motion by Jerry, seconded by Mike. All those, well, call the roll, please, just to make sure.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and you've got.
Okay, I have another one. I have the application of Jonathan and Angela Nation requesting Ag 1 agricultural to R3 residential on 0.81 acres located at 635 Stevens Lane. Commissioner Mudd made a motion to approve the rezoning of Jonathan and Angela Nation, requesting zone change from Ag 1 agricultural to R3 residential on a 0.81 acre tract of land located at 635 Stevens Lane. The recommended land use map in the comprehensive plan recommends mixed use, and the change would be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. Our regulations state that the minimum lot size should be 1 acre. This is a 0.81 acre tract that is an existing platted. The change in zoning did not affect the restrictions on the plat. Seconded by Commissioner Wheatley. There was no additional discussion. Motion carried.
Whose district is that in?
I apologize.
Stevens Lane
Looks like Jerry Moody also on this one.
Well, I suspect Jerry may want to make a motion.
I make a motion from facts and findings of the plan and zoning board.
Okay. Based on the findings of fact and recommendation of the planning and zoning, I believe he's making a motion to this.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Squire Brewer, second.
All right. We've got a motion and a second. Please call the roll, please.
This is Jim. I do have a question.
Oh, hold on just a second. There's a question.
For Julie, the minimum lot size being 1 acre and this being less, is that common for the planning zoning to pass those lots that are less than 1 acre?
Okay. Like they noted that in the motion for that reason. This is a 0.81 acre tract that was already platted years ago. And so it's not that we're creating a new tract. It is a tract that had a house on it, and they have torn the house down because it was all dilapidated. And so they are just asking for the zoning change to put a new manufactured home on it. So it's it's an existing tract. It's not something new that was created.
Okay, does it have an existing septic system on it that they're going to use?
It does have an existing septic system, but they are going to install a new one because they don't know the specifics on the old one.
Okay.
They've already
right,
gotten all that approved through the health department.
Okay, thank you, Julie.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if there's not any other questions, go ahead and call the roll on the motion.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, and Julie, I believe you've got something else you wanted to talk about.
Yes, we have held interviews. We've interviewed about 9 different ladies for my full-time position over here. And so this morning, myself and the chairman of the zoning board would like to recommend we hire Angela Helton in as our full-time person at $15.25 per hour after her drug screening and background check.
Okay, spell her last name for us.
Helton.
Okay. All right. And that is
Jim will make that motion to hire her at $15.25 an hour.
Okay, and that's subject to the background and drug screen. That is full-time, correct?
Yes, that's the full-time position.
Okay, we've got a motion and looking for a second.
Brewer, second.
All right.
Who made the motion?
Jim Travis.
Thank you.
And any questions on the motion?
Right now, I'm just looking up the pay table.
Okay.
P&Z enforcement.
The $15.25 an hour is what I had asked when I was going to hire somebody, so that we knew, and so that is in, reflected back in the minutes where we agreed to pay at that rate, so that way I could advertise it as such.
That's correct.
Okay, I'll change this table that I have then.
Okay, that's the only reason I made that suggestion is at that rate is because we had talked about it previously.
Okay.
When is she available to start, Julie?
Pretty much any time.
Okay. All right. So we got a motion and we've got a second. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Julie?
The only other thing is I would like to put out there for you all to think about and consider. I've spoke with the mayor. He came in and talked to me about enforcement in the city because we only enforce zoning regulations in the city. And so he was asking about considering doing an interlocal agreement with the city for an enforcement person and to be able to enforce like their nuisance ordinance and things of that nature also. I'm waiting for him to get back with me. We did give him an idea of if we split the cost between the city and the county, what that would be. He's supposed to talk to the city council members about that as well. I just don't know if that's something that the fiscal court members would be interested or consider. That since we have that opening right now would be a good time if we're going to make that change to make it to make our enforcement person a full-time person instead of part-time with the agreement that the city is going to help kick in to pay that salary and everything.
And you've given those costs to the mayor.
I have sent those to the mayor, yes.
So this would be an arrangement similar to what we have with the ABC enforcement with Scott Heath, where he's doing that for both the city and the county, and the city is paying the county for some of that expense. So I'll open it up for thoughts and comments on that. Obviously, it's going to take an interlocal agreement between the city and the county to do that. So,
Right, and if I don't have the support that you all would be interested in doing that, that lets me know to go on and hold interviews for that part-time position opposed to waiting to try to find full-time.
In your opinion, is it more attractive as a full-time position versus part-time to an applicant?
I have received applications both ways, to be honest with you.
Okay. It's really up to the court whether we want to enter into or attempt to negotiate and enter into an interlocal agreement with the city for enforcement. So.
This is Jim. I have a question for Julie.
Go ahead.
Does the city put any money into planning and zoning at this time?
They do not. They've not put money into planning and zoning that I'm aware of since I've been here for the 23 years. However, you know, that was something that I told him. I said, you know, they would have to kick in to help pay for this person if, you know, we indeed consider doing this.
Julie, Tim, do you have an idea of what percentage that we would be asking for the split on the money wise?
I think we figured it up as half.
Okay.
Because right now we're just considering a part-time person. So if they want us to be able to do their stuff too, then, you know, it would be half.
Okay. Do you know what that number is?
I do have that. Doug gave that. He sent it to me.
I don't remember off the top of my head either.
Let me, I've got to pull up the email.
And while you're pulling up that email, Julie, would that include a vehicle? Do we need a vehicle for this person? Is that something that's going to be discussed later, or how would that be handled?
Well, I think they could use the vehicle that we have, you know, we have now. My thoughts on it is they wouldn't be out driving around every day of the week or anything like that. We would have to work it out to where they have days in the office to talk to the customers when they come in about whatever they've sent their letter on, you know, to work out arrangements to fix that, so to speak. I mean, normally we're out driving around doing our stuff anyway, so we would be covering the same roadways as far as that part goes.
And that's also for occupational tax enforcement, is that correct?
He did not mention that on the city's end, but that's on our end, yes. They would also be doing enforcement for Stephanie as well.
So Stephanie's working Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This person could be in the office on Tuesday and Thursday.
Right, yeah, and be out maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something.
Right.
I have pulled this up and found it. If we do a 40-hour week at $15.25 an hour, if we held at that rate, for 52 weeks, you're at $31,720. And then, of course, when you add in retirement match, Social Security, FEBCO card, things of that nature, that gets you up to $42,632.81. If we divide that out by 12 months, that would be $3,552.73. So if we split that with the city, it would be $1,776.36 each per month. And those are the numbers that Doug gave me.
Okay. So really all we're looking for this morning is we'd like to know the wishes of the court. Do we want to proceed and try to negotiate an interlocal agreement to provide those services to the city? If so, then we can continue on in that direction. If not, then we move to a part-time position for only the county. So it's really the pleasure of the court which direction we go in, and there may be differing opinions. So.
Well, this is Jim. You know, I think the city commissioners will need to know the same information that we've got. because they would have to make the decision to split that also. So I think we're kind of not quite ready to tackle this thing right now.
Well, we can tackle it from the standpoint of if it's something that's desirable for the court that we would like to pursue. In other words, we don't want to try to negotiate an agreement with the city and then come back to the court and say, well, no, we'd rather just do it part-time, only the county. So we're trying to basically see which direction the court would like to go. Do we want to try to negotiate something with the city and share that person? Or do we want to just hire a part-time person to do the county stuff only?
I think it would be a good idea to get the city involved in this because, our solid waste committee has been talking with the city for the last several months, and our whole theme is to get the city and county more involved with one another instead of being divided. And I think this would be a good way to do that, to help the city and the county work closer together.
Well, and like I said, I have talked to the mayor. I've sent him this information. I know they had a city council meeting yesterday. I don't know if he brought it up at that meeting or not. I have not heard back from him this morning. But
okay,
I will
was
be
at
honest.
That meeting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Jim. I was at that meeting yesterday with the solid waste, and anyway, he did not bring it up while I was there, but the meeting was continuing on.
Okay. I just didn't know if that was something they would bring up in regular session or if they might bring it up in executive session or something like that. But I will be honest, it's something that I'm hoping, that if we decide to pursue it, that we wouldn't drag our feet on. If it's going to come to being something that it's going to take forever to find out about, then I would personally just soon go in and do my part-time person, to be honest. I just need to get somebody back on top of those things and not let them linger.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we continue to lay the groundwork to develop an agreement between the city and the county for this person, for this position that Julie's speaking of.
That sounds like a good motion to me. Anybody want to second that motion?
I'll second that. Jim.
Okay.
And what was that motion?
To just continue the groundwork to see if this is going to be something that the county and the city are going to agree upon to come together to hire this person to fill these basically these three positions to make them all one position. It's not agreeing to hire anybody. It's just to agree to continue to lay the groundwork to see if we're going to be able to move forward with this project.
Yeah, any actual agreement would have to be approved by the court and the city commission. So, but just to pursue that pathway, basically, I think is what Tim is trying to accomplish. So
that is correct. Yes.
So any other comments or questions?
Squire Brewer, would you mind emailing me with your motion, please?
Well, I was sort of hoping you just put it in your own words, but yeah, I can do that.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, sir.
Yeah, I can do that. Give me a day or so.
I mean, I could take a stab at it. It seems like maybe a motion.
Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fine.
If the motion is to pursue an agreement for a full-time enforcement position, sharing that position with the city, but just to pursue that, we're not voting to hire anybody. We're not voting, and we're just, the motion is to pursue that pathway. Does that sound reasonable?
Can you email me with that motion, please?
Okay, I'm going to let Tim tell you. Tim will probably do it better justice than I just did. So, okay, so we've got a motion. We've got a second. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? If not, call the roll.
Squire Mike Moody?
Yes.
Squire Beaverson?
Yes.
Judge Riley?
Yes.
Squire Travis?
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody?
Yes.
Squire Brewer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, well, I'd say we've got solid support for moving in that direction, and let's see, I know Julie wants us to move forward as quickly as possible, so I'll do what I can to help that process. And of course, Ken will be working on the actual interlocal agreement, something that we can bring back to the court if we find some agreement with the city. So, okay, Julie, anything else?
I think that's all I have.
All right. What about your vehicles? Do we need Jerry to take a look at your vehicles and see where we are on equipment for you?
Honestly, it wouldn't be a bad idea. The Tahoe that we have has some age to it, and it has some issues.
Okay. We'll get the equipment committee on that and see what we can come up with. Anything else? Anybody have any questions of Julie? If not, we're going to move on. I've got Sheriff Herndon.
I will state real quick, just so you all are aware, Vince, I am here by myself. When I get off the meeting here, I am going to close the office to go do some addressing. I've got about 15 addresses I got to get done that I've been putting off for 2 weeks. So that way, if anybody gets to looking for me, the office is going to be closed for a while today.
Good deal.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now we're ready to talk to Sheriff Scott Herndon.
Hello, I'm here.
The floor is yours.
Well, what you have listed here is the
Julie Sweezy
has left the meeting.
Which was the house out of Wilsonville that we had, we inherited that situation. I want to thank the previous administration, their investigation and bringing that case to conclusion. But then we have a lot of work to do to get it to market. The Commonwealth attorney has said she thought she'd ever do a house again. I'm not sure if I would either, but that was time one had ever been done in Spencer County. But we did have a fantastic sale, and the winning bid was $1,000 for that house. Of course, there's got to be 15% of that right off the top goes to the Commonwealth attorney. Another percentage will go to David Jewell Real Estate and Office Company, and another percentage will go to for the commissioner sale. And part of David Jewell's is to clean up and get fit to the sale. So I'm hoping, and this is just estimates, is that by the time we get everybody, and I want to pay Miss McGuffin that was left hanging with a $4,000 bill for storage of evidence from that case that after I took office in a couple of weeks, we got it all destroyed. We're out her thing, but she's still stuck with that bill. It's in the neighborhood of $4,000 to $5,000, and I think it's only right for her also. So I'm hoping that when we get everything paid, that we'll have some neighborhood of $100,000 plus go into the state fund here at the sheriff's office. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? It's been a long time in coming, so.
Hey, Scott, this is Jim. What can that money be used for?
Okay. Basically, it can be used for anything except salaries. So basically, equipment, radios, cars, guns, medical equipment, traffic cones, speed limit signs. We talked about those flashing speed limit signs, and possibly maybe one of those trailers that could be moved to different areas y'all are having trouble with. That helps us. That helps y'all. It makes us all look good when we have a piece of equipment like that, and I'd be interested in pursuing something like that. And I'll be glad to take recommendations for things that y'all think that we could buy with it that will help both of us.
Well, I'm sure that you've got some ideas where you want to use that money.
Oh,
and if you'll come back with us, with those recommendations, I'm sure we'll agree with you.
Well, just to kind of touch on some things, we're wanting to do body cameras
is one of my top priorities. It was one of my campaign priorities. In today's environment of law enforcement, I think it's more important than ever. It not only protects the officer, protects the agency, and protects the county. That is a priority. We have experienced body cameras, but we want to shop around more. The body cameras isn't really the major expense. The storage capacity is the biggest expense. Some the basically, but then you got to pay for all the storage. So we want to do a lot of research and make sure we make the right decision and use different cameras. Another thing we want to do, we're wanting to put patrol rifles in every vehicle. I'm wanting to put a reasonably priced, cheap, not expensive pair of binoculars in everybody's car. David Kimber said he hardly ever uses binoculars when he
Has
works
joined the
in
meeting.
my job is Fish and Wildlife every day, and there's just so much you can do with a pair of binoculars, finding out information, reading license plates, different things to do once you've got them. Really prevents creating an issue that we need to create an issue. So, I'm thinking about $300-400 pair of binoculars for each vehicle. And, you buy real cheap ones, they just don't hold up. And we don't need 5,000 binoculars or 2,000 binoculars. So, anyway, we are hoping to get accreditation next year. Our plan was this year, but with everything it blew up, we didn't get it done. So this is going to help us get started down that path of buying the necessary final items for us to get accreditation. All right. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, anything else, Scott? Does anybody have any questions?
Unless somebody else got some questions. I mean, I'm looking at selling the 5 vehicles, surplusing 5 vehicles, and trying to replace them with 3 used Ford Explorers is what I'd like to do. The used Explorers are working well for us. They look nice. You can't tell them from the new ones. It takes forever to get the new ones forward. I'm pretty well satisfied with them. So, and I can get 3 to 4 years out of Ford. One was 70,000 miles on like 3 to 4 years. We don't put on tons of miles. We have a small county, but we need to have our experienced vehicles on some of the places we go. And we're just dragging the bottom out of these big Chargers a lot of times.
Well, I know we've got a equipment committee that's chomping at the bit to work with you on that. He's going to do a good job for us. So, all right. If nothing else for the sheriff, I think are you going to be up under new business? Or maybe not. Okay. If there's nothing else, we'll move to the safety committee report. Brewer.
At this time, as far as I know, we don't have anything on the report.
Solid Waste Committee report.
All right, this is Jim. Of course, Tim and I have been working on this for a long time, on getting specifications for the solicitation of a contract for the hauling of our residential and solid waste of the city and the county. Steve Bevan from the city has graciously donated his time and experience
has left the meeting
to write up these specifications. I have these in front of me right now. I met with City Council last evening, and they gave their blessing. That's okay. Now, I don't know whether the court needs to vote on this, but it's basically ready to be advertised in the paper.
Well, obviously, I don't believe that any of us have that in front of us, but in the interest of time, because time is the essence on moving forward with getting this advertised and bid and getting those values.
Has left the meeting.
So
I tell you what I can do. I can send all the members of the court these specifications by email, and you also, Judge, and then you guys can look them over and see if there's any changes that you would like to see made. But like you say, we've only got 3.5 months left, before this contract's due, and we're going to have a bid meeting with all the people that are interested before the contract is signed, and let them give their input and share with us, any comments that they have, a pre-bidding meeting. So anyway, we need to get on it as soon as possible. And anyway, I'll send these to you and y'all can look at them.
How about a motion to go ahead and bid this based on the recommendation from the Solid Waste Committee? Does that sound reasonable?
I'll second that motion if you're making a motion.
Well, I'll go ahead and make the motion. I just think, again, time is of the essence.
These specifications there's really not any difference in our contract that we have now as far as the ins and outs of, what they're going to pick up and how they're going to pick it up and all that. The only difference is that the city and county both are going to be involved in this contract. It will be one contract, but it'll be two different entities in that contract. One for the city, which will have a different rate, and then one for the county. But the county side of it stays the same as it is right now. Each individual household will be billed directly from the company quarterly, and so there's no changes there. We did add a clause in there to add about curbside recycling as a separate bid. It's not going to be included in the original bid, but and then that way it'll be a voluntary thing. And if there's enough people to sign up for curbside recycling, then the company where they could make money, then they would be willing to do that. But it's not going to be a part of the contract itself.
Well, obviously, the soonest we can get it in the local paper would be on the 16th. They would need that by the end of the week in order to get that published in the paper by the 16th. But obviously, we're going to be sending this out directly to some of the potential bidders as well. So we just need approval to go ahead and get this advertised. Obviously, we're going to have to approve any contract that based on the bids. So
yeah, this is just something to put in the paper for the contractors can look at it and bid on it, and we'll basically have a meeting before the bid to discuss all these items in our proposal.
Let's vote.
go ahead and call the roll, please.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody. Sorry,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay. Anything else from the Solid Waste Committee?
No.
Okay. How about the Veterans Committee, Squire Brewer?
Yes, the Veterans Committee has been requested to come out and do to help another organization clean up Little Mount Church Cemetery, or Little Mount Cemetery. This is actually the cemetery where the Revolutionary War grave is, and so that's going to be this coming Saturday. We're going to go out and clean that up along with this other group.
And that's at the Little Mount Church Cemetery.
Yes.
And what time does that start?
Oh, you would ask me that one. I think it is 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Who should anyone contact for more information on that?
You can contact Lee Higginbotham. He's the president of the MVets. Okay.
All right. Anything else from Veterans Committee? I know one of the things that Squire Brewer had brought up to me was naming of bridges, and that would depend, as I told him, on that would be in honor of someone, for example, a veteran or whatever. That would really depend on whether that was a county bridge or a state bridge. We've done that in the past. The new bridge over Salt River here in town was, done in memory of C.L. Glasscock. So that's something that we can look at in the future. So other than that, we're going to move on then to the equipment committee. Jerry, you got the work cut out for you.
Yeah. Done late yesterday or early this morning from off the board, but we should be getting it back.
I'm sorry, Squire Moody, I cannot hear you.
You hear me?
I can hear you better. I didn't hear anything you said just a minute ago. Can you repeat it, please?
You want me to repeat, or you want the judge to repeat what he said?
No, go ahead.
Hear you.
Jerry, you kind of cut out on us, Jerry. So go ahead and repeat what you just said.
Okay. The jailer's car is supposed to be done evening this morning, so we should be getting that back from Allstate Forward. The other question I have is, I don't understand it completely, and that is, are you saying to buy 5 floors for the earth, or 5 floors for the earth part, or are we going to wait and get some money to pay for it?
No, I think what you're going to do is get with, number one, get with the sheriff, and come up with a recommendation, and also planning and zoning and anybody else that needs vehicles. So just get with them, and I'll be happy to meet with you also, and then we can come back at another meeting and make a recommendation. I don't think we're ready to do that today.
Okay.
All right.
And I've got a thing, and I don't know who to go to on it, but I've had 2 complaints on it, and I checked it out myself. And a lot of times when you're on Overlook Drive, and that is the road that runs across the end of the lake there at the dam, the sewer odor gets real strong there.
Okay. Get with me on that, and we'll try to dive into that and see what with the Corps of Engineers and find out what that is.
I can tell you what it is.
Okay.
I can't hear a word Jerry's saying.
Yeah, he's cutting out really bad. We're going to move on to the Telecommunications Committee, Squire Beaverson, phone system upgrade, and that kind of ties into what I'm trying to call a special meeting next week. The Perfection Group, they include that. I'm not sure whether we're going to move forward with the Perfection Group, and I'm not sure, Brett, if you have something on the phone system upgrade at this point. I know you're working on it.
Okay, what I have that has worked best with us at this point has been AT&T. God bless. We got enough noise going on?
Just move on.
Okay. I had this cover page, but it didn't get in here. It says the current county phone system is PBX non-digital, piecemeal, non-integrated system. The goal is to standardize the telecom system across all departments, including the ability to transfer calls to any department and forward incoming calls to cell phones. Cost estimates received gives fiscal court information to decide on moving forward with a bid or use state price contracting. The ability to receive incoming calls and forward the number is beneficial when individuals are quarantined and still able to work at home. And it might be possible, I don't know if Judge has any more information, but we may be able to use at least some of the CARES funds for this capability. So really what I'm looking for from the court is This one estimate is about 16,000 with the monthly charges of around $460. Is this something the court wants us to pursue?
I'd say we have to pursue something. As you know, our phone system is antiquated, and there's far better technology and so forth out there. I don't think that we're in a position this morning to make a decision to go one way or another. I could be wrong. Got a suggestion, I'm open for it. But I believe as we hear later in the meeting for EMS, there will be some carry available we could use to do this. Initially, I was thinking that maybe the phone system upgrade should be part of the renovation of our courthouse and so forth, but actually it needs to be done before that. We'll make our whoever's overseeing that and make it a lot easier, being able to just move a phone from all you need, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, is a internet access, and you plug the phone in and you're ready to go regardless of where it is, either office.
Basically, phone. Yes. There's more involved in that, but that's the gist of it. Is this does do away with long distance charges, and gives us the ability to transfer over to cell phones. But you know, what's the temper of the court as far as not making a decision? It's just, should I continue to work with these companies on doing assessments of the county so that they can also bring in quotes?
Well, if I think definitely you need to continue on with that. It would be interesting to hear what the perfection group is recommending. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that, and we can talk to them next week. But yeah, we need to, I think, continue on with it. Somebody, some of the others may disagree with me, but I think we need to move our phone system into the 21st century.
Hey, Brett, this is Jim. Do you think this new phone system would be integrated into a new renovated courthouse?
Easily.
Instead of like, say, when the courthouse is renovated.
I understand your question. Question. And yes, that is a possibility. It's exactly what we've done with school renovations, is upgraded the phone system at that point. But keep in mind, we have a lot of satellite buildings as well, so it's not just the courthouse, it's countywide.
Well, I would strongly support moving forward with that, and appreciate your work on it, Brett.
Okay. I'll check that off.
Anybody else can weigh in if they'd like.
This is Jim. I agree. I think you should go ahead and pursue that.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Brett?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on. Looks like no old business. We're going to move on to new business. Parks. Jerry Moody. I'm not sure who that is. Jerry, you're up. And you're cutting out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of static. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I've spent a lot of time on this with the parks, with Brian Spencer. We looked at several options, even looked at options of buying a tractor and a 15-foot finish mower to try to save time and cost was, in my opinion, prohibitive, because we'd be getting up towards 45,000. The best thing we can come up with is with Midwest, and that is with Skaggs mower. I've spent 2 hours with them, going over things with them, driving, and then the next day I went and got Brian Spencer, and we drove them in wet grass, did everything we could with them, and by far, Skaggs is very superior to the other mowers on the market. The Brian, especially on wet, they step grass good. The ride is superior to any other make out there, and I make the recommendation for us to go with the Skaggs. And to purchase 2 of them, they are $12,265.64 a piece. That's a 72-inch mower delivered to Spencer County.
Is that a state contract price or?
I could not understand what you said. I'm getting a lot of static.
Okay, is that a state contract price, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. That is a master.
Okay, so your recommendation is to purchase 2 of the. There's 2 different ones on here. One is an STT, the other one is an SCZ. What's the difference?
The difference is $2,000.
Well, I see that.
This one is it's a heavy duty mower, and I have driven these mowers, and personally, I have a mower that is not a Skaggs, and it's not even compare to these mowers. The ride is, and most of your commercial companies use a Skaggs mower because they hold up.
Yeah.
And if I was to buy another mower, in fact, my mower that I use myself is Boulder, and it will hold up Skaggs. So
Okay.
I strongly recommend to go ahead and get 2 of them. We got 2 John Deere's, the frames welded on one. They're just, and the other one is water cooled. They had to add water to the radiator every time you used it. They had rebuilt on it once, and the time they got done with the bill on that, it was almost as cheap to buy another mower as it was to fix it. And it's still not fixed.
Well, they don't last forever, that's for sure. So, you want to put that in the form of a motion so we can go ahead and act on that?
Yeah, I thought I did.
Okay.
I make a
go ahead.
to buy 2 Skaggs mowers. They're $12,564 a piece.
We got a motion.
Second.
Is that Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? I assume we'll come back at some point and surplus the old mowers, but we're not going to deal with that this morning.
Yeah.
Jerry, I assume that these are going to fit inside the trailer. No problem at all?
Yes, we've measured everything. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Jim. I do have one comment I'd like to make. This late in the mowing season, while we're buying these 2 mowers, I would like to, in the spring, maybe look at the possibility of contracting out the mowing of the parks to a private contractor and eliminate the parks department mowing altogether, just whatever they have to mow. I think it would be a cheaper route We could probably eliminate one full-time position at the Parks Department if we did this and save money there also.
Okay, that's a discussion for another day. So any comments or questions on the motion? If not, call the roll, please.
Jeff Farley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
No.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Anything else on that, Jerry? If not, we're going to move on to emergency radios.
Yes, we have.
Go ahead.
We need, and on that Ford pickup truck, we need to go ahead and I said something to Brittany how it's supposed to be in to go ahead and whatever we had to do to sell it, and also on Gary's Explorer, his old Explorer, and I think it had already been done, but we can't find out.
Yeah, I think we have already surplused some of that, but that'll be, we'll put that on the agenda for another day.
Okay, but we've been putting it in agendas and we're not getting nothing done. Just because Gary's off from work, we cannot let all that junk just pile up. We need to get it, whatever we had to do to sell the stuff and get rid of it.
Okay. If you and, why don't you and Brittany and myself get together on this and let's get a plan on how we're going to proceed with it.
Hey, Jerry, this is Jim.
Yes, sir.
Could I ask you a question? Would you look into the possibility of replacing the recycling center vehicle with one of the new 2,500 Fords that we bought for the Parks Department?
Okay, that's off of our agenda. Let's put that on another agenda if we can, so we can move on with this one. Anything else on parks equipment? Don't think so. So if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and move on to emergency radios and the recommendation I need to adjust that as soon as I can find it here. Just bear with me.
Oh my God. Hey Judge, can we get some people to mute their microphones if they're not talking?
Yeah, who has got somebody backing up with a truck that beep? Is somebody you could mute that?
Oh, that's better.
It's got everybody is muted but court members, so it's one of the court members that we're getting that noise from. So, okay, we need, and you've got the quotes in there from Sunny Communications, and that would be for 3 of the additional handheld radios. We can take these one at a time or both of them together, however you want. The next one is a quote from J&N Electronics, and this is for the mobile, those ones that are installed in vehicles. We need actually 4. The quote is for 3, but sheriff needs an additional radio as well. So however the court wants to proceed with that, we'd like to go ahead and get those ordered. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we purchase 3 Kenwood TK 5210 radios from Sunny Communications.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second.
I do have some discussion on that.
Okay.
I've talked to Doug several times about the rebate that we supposed to get on the last radios, and yesterday he sent me an email stating that that was included in the price that we purchased the last time when we bought the bulk of them. That is not true. I don't believe. I believe we were supposed to have gotten a rebate after we paid the price, because that's not the way that it was voted on. So that needs to be checked on. From J&L.
J&N.
J&N, yeah. Whoever it was that was supposed to have been giving us the rebates. I believe it was Kenwood, but J&N, I believe, was handling that situation. And I mean, that was quite a bit of money that we were supposed to be getting back. So somebody needs to look into that and find out why we haven't received those rebates yet.
Okay, and we'll get to the J&N quote here in just a minute. The motion on the table is for the 3 used Kenwood TK 5210s from Sunny Communication.
I do have a question. Those are used units, correct?
Those are used units, and they've been working out real well.
Okay.
If there's no other questions on that, call the roll, please.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
I didn't get a chance to ask a question. I got blocked out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jerry.
Tim, I'd like to get Tim's opinion on this.
Okay. Well, Tim was asking about the rebate on the radios we'd already purchased. I believe that, and we'll look into that, but I believe that that was incorporated into the price quote. But I will check on that with J&N. This motion is in regard to the used handheld radios.
Right. And that's what I was trying, if that's what thinks we need to do.
I have no idea. I mean, every time we turn around, we're asking for more radios. I'm not sure, why we couldn't get it the rate the first time, but this is the 3rd time we've ordered radios. So I have no idea how many radios we need, nor do I know how many radios we have.
Evidently, when somebody moves in the county, do they get a radio?
Well, I can tell you that these, I have looked at this, and if we don't want to act on it, that's fine. But we do need 3 of these handheld used radios. The motion is to approve the purchase. Total cost of $825.
And who are these going to, Judge, if you don't mind?
One is going to the animal control office, and the coroner needs one, and I'm trying to think of the other one. I can get that information for you. We're not just buying radios to be buying radios. I can assure you that.
I think that 3rd one went to the jailer, one of the jailer's deputies, wasn't it?
Possibly. I'm not sure.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean the ones that we don't have working right now?
Yeah. Okay, well, we were in the middle of the roll call on the motion to purchase 3 TK 5210 used handheld radios. I made the motion. Brett seconded it. Call the roll again on that, please.
Squire Travis has already voted yes.
Okay.
Squire Jerry Moody,
I just don't think we need more radios. I vote no.
Squire Brewer,
No.
Squire Mike Moody,
No.
Squire Hutchinson,
Yes.
Judge Riley.
Yes, motion fails.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, let's see. Is it any, well, we'll go ahead and try. We need some, actually 4 of the Kenwood. This is what I think, Squire Brewer, you were talking about, is the new Kenwood mobile radios. And I'll look back on that. I believe that J&N's quote included the rebate on the others, but we'll check on that. The rebate is no longer available. However, the license, the P25 license, is still available. The discount on a state contract price on these is 30%. So let's see here. I'll give you a total here in just a second. $686 each. Be a total of $2,744. Go ahead and make a motion to purchase 4 Kenwood NX 5700 mobile radios, the amount of $2,744.
Judge, this is Jim. In our packet, we've got that quote, and it says 3.
Yeah, but the sheriff needed 1 as well, so I've added to that 4 instead of 3. He's actually going to be pulling a radio out of what Randy is driving now, that Dodge pickup. So he needed 2, but he's going to get 1 from Randy's Dodge pickup. Randy doesn't need that. So we will need a total of 4 of those. Again, one of those I know is for the animal shelter vehicle. I didn't realize that they didn't have a mobile. One of them is for the coroner's van, and one for the sheriff. I'm trying to think what the other one is for. But anyway, I'll make the motion. Something tells me it's not going to pass, but we're going to make it anyway. Anybody want to second that motion? Motion, is anybody going to second it? Motion fails for lack of a second. We're going to move on. And Chris, are you on here? Chris Limp. Ask Brittany. Do you have to? Okay, now let's see if we got Chris.
Can you hear me okay?
Now we hear you.
Okay. In the packet, you'll find the quote to upgrade our ambulance fleet to power cots and power load systems from Stryker. So, what I would like to do is we just receive some CARES money for the EMS salaries and roll that money into purchasing these power cots and power load systems. The goal is to reduce exposure to COVID and reduce possibility of lifting and moving injuries. If you recall, those were in the basically the 10-year plan I gave you guys several months ago was to retrofit our fleet to these items. So that quote is in the packet. I have Andrea Quigley here, the Stryker rep in my office. She can answer any questions you may have about that equipment.
Hey, Chris, this is Jim. There's 2 different totals there. One of 84 and one of 77. Do you add those 2 together?
Stand by 1 second. She's checking on that now. Did you call that kind of number to request that? 1-800-342-5460. Extension 242. Jim, I believe the total for everything came out to like 160.
Sorry, that's what I was trying to figure out.
100, and I want to say 66. Our reimbursement was like 177 on the salaries. She's figuring it up now.
161,730.
161,730 was what she's showing me for the total.
But you've got another quote here for 5,200.
That's the installation.
That's the installation. So
Yes.
the plus the 5,200 brings it to 166,930.
166,930.
Yes. These are complete power cots and the power load system, which will, like I said, reduce lifting and moving injuries, and with being able to lift that, to raise the cot with from just the foot end of the stretcher, it reduces chance of exposure to COVID, other infectious disease, by not putting our employees directly over top of the head or face of the patient as we're lifting and moving them.
So that information makes these eligible to be covered under the CARES.
Correct. Also, we can, once we receive them and pay the invoice, we can submit for reimbursement on this total back to the CARES money and get reimbursed at 100%.
Hey, Chris, this is Jim. In the event we buy a new ambulance, and will these power lifters be able to go with a new ambulance?
Correct. What we can do when next ambulance we purchase, we will remove the load system from the ambulance that's going out of service and place it into the new ambulance. So,
okay.
So
that was my question.
It can be moved over.
Well, let me ask you this: if you order a new ambulance, would you order a new ambulance with that system already complete?
That was the plan for the future as we purchased new ambulances to make the move to power cots. But with the CARES money coming available, it just makes sense to convert our fleet now because it's a reimbursable expense through CARES. So
Ken Jones has joined the meeting.
So the CARES money will reimburse us 100% for converting our fleet now.
Didn't we just buy new stretchers this last year?
No, we haven't bought a new stretcher in a number of years. 2016 is what Andrea's telling me. We have 3 stretchers, which are probably, off the top of my head, 12 years old, and one that's a 2016. I believe last year we looked at purchasing a stretcher for the coroner's van. Is what the talk was about last year.
Okay, one more question: Is the CARES money
has left the meeting?
Can we use CARES money to purchase an ambulance?
We cannot. An ambulance is not an approved expense through CARES. The CARES doesn't define an ambulance as being in direct response to COVID, but they do define the power load and power cot system as being such.
Chris, as you know, the question that I asked is what services around Spencer County have not yet converted to the power cots?
We are the only service in our area. Everybody that surrounds us has made the switch. We're one of the last ones, probably the last one in this area, still using manual cots. Louisville Metro EMS has not retrofitted their entire fleet. They have some, so I know like Hardin County, Meade County, Bullitt County, Nelson County, Shelby County, part of Jefferson County, Metro EMS, all the fire departments that have started EMS there have gone to manual or gone to power cots. LaRue, and I believe Anderson and Washington have power cots. Boyle County just converted over. Bullitt County just converted over. So it's kind of the standard of practice and standard of care now. I guess it was in the 10-year plan that I gave you guys to move over as we replaced ambulances. But when this option became available using the CARES money, that we could get it 100% reimbursed, it just kind of made sense to move on it now if the court sees that as the way to do it.
Well, this is Jim. I'll make a motion that we spend up to $167,000 for these new power lifts and the installation of them.
We've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Scarborough, second.
We've got a second. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? If not, please call the roll.
Scarborough,
Yes.
Lynette has joined the meeting.
Squire Mike Moody,
No.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
No.
motion carries. Can we take a 5-minute bathroom break, please?
We sure can. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Everybody be back at 10:45.
You need all help? You don't.
I'll do that.
Hey, Brad, are you still there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that noise. I'm sitting in the construction zone. I didn't even pay any attention to the beeping of the construction equipment.
Oh. Okay.
I was oblivious to it and didn't even think about it. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
You see right now.
Yeah. Crazy. All right, so what do we do?
Olivia Rancine has joined the meeting. Olivia Rancine has left the meeting.
5 minutes. Okay, who all's back? Have we got Jim?
Jim's here.
Okay, what about Tim?
Present.
Jerry?
Yes.
Okay, Brett? I see you're muted. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Yeah. I was
Okay,
muted.
I see Mike there. So we've got everybody back. The next item on the agenda is presentation of tax rates. Those are in the packet and will be in the minutes. If there's no questions on that, we'll move on to Melvin Gore, the jailer. Melvin, are you with us?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay, you've got the floor.
First of all, I just want to let everybody know that no, the radio is not going to be purchased for me.
Okay.
Second of all, I would like to hire two new deputies, one deputy, same thing as the last one, and so actually I'd like to hire two new deputies. I received a message from Jerry Davis that as of Saturday he is resigning because of medical reasons. I've included in an email the expenses that I think that it will be acquired by doing such.
I'll open the floor to anybody that'd like to speak on this.
Melvin, do you have anybody in mind?
I have two people that I've picked out after taking in some applications. That one of them that I have already done a background check and drug screening and passed, and he is a previous employee of the county. He used to work for EMS. I spoke with Chris Limp and some others about him, and I think he would be a good hire, and that would be Aaron Hornsby. The other one was Tommy McGahee. I have not done a background check or a drug screening on him because at the time I didn't know if y'all would allow me to do a temporary hire or not. But his brother is on the police department, and I know their family real well. I don't see no problems with the background check or drug screening.
Do you know when Jerry Davis's resignation is final?
He told me as a Saturday that he was not going to be coming back because of recommendations from his doctors.
Can we get a written resignation from him?
I will ask him for one.
Okay, just so that we've got that on file. Also, Priscilla, I think, was she terminated or did she resign?
No, she was not terminated. I had an issue brought to my attention by the sheriff's department and a few issues brought to me by the city department on some of her procedures that she was doing during transports. So I brought her in to question her about it and told her that I would not be working her for a few days while I worked on this with the sheriff's department stuff, and told her to come back. This was on a Wednesday. I'm sorry I don't have the dates in front of me. But on a Friday, and then I was going to bring her back in on Friday after receiving the official complaints from the sheriff's department. And she did not give me time to do that. She just said, heck with it, I quit.
Okay.
No resignation letter, just verbal. And I've retrieved her equipment.
Okay, can you submit something we can put in our file that there was a resignation, a verbal resignation to you?
Yes, I will.
Okay, we just want to clean that up and make sure that both of those employees are, yeah, we don't want to have, 3 or 4 employees. We
Exactly.
Okay, so both Jerry and Priscilla have both resigned, and you're going to get us documentation on that.
Yes, sir.
The a question came up, and I've got a letter in the packet from the Sheriff's Association attorney on. I know that early on there was a suggestion that court security officers could not transport newly arrested prisoners, and I don't. We asked for an attorney general's
Has
opinion,
joined the meeting.
and so I wanted you all to have the letter from the Sheriff's Association. I think they disagree with that suggestion that court security officers are not qualified to transport a newly arrested person. So essentially what I'm saying is that we could use, and I hope you are using them because you're essentially working on your own right now, the court security folks through the sheriff and to do transports. So
I have not been using them. I have been doing it all myself since July 5th, I think was the date that Priscilla stepped out. March was the date that Jerry stepped out. I've been doing it all by myself. And as far as the jailers association, excuse me, as far as the Sheriff's Association presenting that letter, we have had CACO, which is the county's legal system. They have said that no, they cannot. Ken Jones agrees. Our own county attorney agrees that they cannot. The Jailers Association contacted me because they was contacted by the Attorney General about this, and the Jailers Association says they cannot. And also, I'd like to point out that for us to transport, for the jailers to transport, we have to do a 40-hour training. The jailer himself has to do a 40-hour training every year. The deputy jailers across the 120 counties have to do a 24-hour certification, and court security only has to recertify every 2 years. So I don't even see how this has even been thought of or any type of concept when the requirement is to have 24 hours a year of certification for transporting, and again, the court security only trains every 2 years. So I just think, and I just think that there's many obvious
Has left the meeting.
many obvious reasons pointing towards all this. Second of all, I don't understand why it's been even brought up again, John. Is because we've already talked about this over and over. The sheriff's deputies or courtroom security, they don't want to do any night work at all. So they're not going to be much help to me anyway. Second, I've had Scott twice tell me, once before the election in a meeting and once after the election, that he's fine. He has no problems with the way it is right now, where court security does court transports and I handle all fresh arrests. And there's no difference in the pay from when my guys transport or his guys transport, if they was capable, except for maybe the price of the equipment. But then again, scheduling's a big issue.
Ken Jones has joined the meeting.
okay, Ken's back on. I have to leave briefly, but I'm not sure, Melvin, that the issue was always settled. That's why we were trying to seek guidance and opinion from the Attorney General. So the point is, I think that, in a pinch, regardless of whether we're using there and pulling the data, hire 2 deputies for you. I think that you could use court security folks in the interim, so possibly exclusive. So that's what we did for years. So
Well, we did a lot of things for years, but we also find out that some things we do are illegal. We have to change the way we do things.
okay. Well, Ken, would you want to weigh in on this, or is that something that we still need guidance from the Attorney General on?
Yeah, I think you're right that, we're still kind of deferring to the Attorney General on their opinion interpreting those statutes. So I, of course, would defer to their final opinion because, that can often be cited as law if we get an official response. Unfortunately, I mean, how long has it been, Judge?
Year and a half.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And our phone calls don't seem to make much difference up to the Attorney General's office. And so I'll make another run at them to see if we can finally get this issue resolved.
I know the Sheriff's Association letter, that's why I included it in your packet, is pretty comprehensive. And obviously they're at odds with the opinion of the jailer, but Melvin, do you know, has the Jailers Association responded yet to the Attorney General's request, or?
I do not have it in writing, but when I was speaking to the president of the Jailers Association about this, when he told me that he'd received a phone call, I know he made he agreed that the court security didn't, and past that didn't agree with the court security being able to do the transports for some of the reasons that I pointed out to you just a few minutes ago.
Okay.
And that's what they passed on to the Attorney General.
Okay, so the Attorney General has gotten their letter weighing in on the issue. So I don't, maybe it's time for the Attorney General now to finally issue an opinion.
I still have not found a county in the state that uses court security as transport officers either.
Yeah, okay.
Even Anderson County, who just had the jailer retire, either at the beginning of this year or end of last year, even when he took over the transports while they elected a new jailer, that he used his deputies, not courtroom security, to do the transports.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it up to the pleasure of the court of what they want to do. You're making a recommendation to hire 2 deputies. My recommendation is let's see if we can't get an opinion from the Attorney General before we do that, because if we can use in talking to the sheriff, I don't believe he's still on here, but I believe he would be okay with working together with you.
Oh, me and the sheriff have a great relationship.
Right. So anyway, it's up to the pleasure of the court. The court would like to act on this.
Melvin, this is Squire Brewer. Have you gotten the equipment back from Priscilla after she had quit?
Yes, sir. I've got all the equipment back.
And when you anticipate getting Jerry Davis's equipment back?
I can get it back anytime. I just drive over there and pick it up.
And none of that equipment except for the guns in the holster could be used for the new hires if you hire them?
The shirts and pants, probably the shirts and pants would not be able to be reused, but the all the belt equipment and the gun and radios and all that type of equipment, so the only expense that I see would be the shirts and pants. And I only include, I usually, like buy 4 shirts. I buy 2 short sleeve, 2 long sleeve. But by the time they get here and everything like that, we, out of this budget, will probably only need the long sleeve shirts. Maybe at the beginning of the next year, I'll have to purchase some short sleeve shirts for them. But
Joe, you do have listed tactical belts and accessories for $200. Couldn't those that from Jerry and Priscilla be used?
Well, Priscilla is like 100 pounds, so her belt, I don't know the exact size. It's probably like I don't know, a 28 or something like that. And the people that I'm hiring, and I just gave y'all a estimate on it would be to replace like there's two belts to that. There's a inner belt you put in through your loops. The other belt goes around your waist. Never, when I did purchase, I only purchased, for the other two officers, I only purchased exactly what I needed because some of the officers were supplying like handcuff cases and stuff like that. So what I did was looked out there for belts that would fit the new hire, because one of the belts that would be able to fit one of my guys, but the one from Priscilla won't be able to fit everybody. So we're looking at probably under $200 for belts and accessories needed to equip that officer.
This
If
is
that makes
Jerry.
sense.
I'm to go ahead and give Melvin permission to hire 2 deputies.
We've got a motion.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Moody.
Who's the second?
Mike Moody.
Thank you.
We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? And the motion is to go ahead and hire 2 new deputies for the jailer, if I'm not mistaken.
And that would be under the same pay schedule as the last one. It would be for, as I put in an email to you guys, the $40 contract price per run per 50 miles, and the $10 an hour if they need for their training / if they have to do hospital visits and stuff like that with the prisoners.
Okay, any other questions?
I assume the motion does include the price of the equipment and uniforms.
That wasn't clear. Jerry, is your all the equipment? I think that was a yes. Mike, is that your understanding of a set?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
No.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Anything else, Melvin?
Not at this time. I don't think so. I was going to put a request for a new laptop to replace my work computer in the office that y'all have on the monthly contract with our computer company. I hardly ever use that, and I would explain that to any of the magistrates or you, John, in person. I don't want to do it during this meeting.
Okay.
Why I don't, but that I don't know what we pay for that computer on a monthly basis, but I think the laptop that I would request would be about $500. But I want to hold off because there's better deals coming towards the end of summer.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we're going to move on to election update. Finally, Lynn, you are up.
Thank you. All right, I've got a statement and then I've got some items some action items. As we approach the 2020 presidential general election, there are several factors that will need to be considered in planning and conducting this election. The first is the approval of 31 KAR 4-192E, or the emergency administrative regulation approved by the State Board of Elections, which will determine how the election will be conducted in every county. Many of the provisions of this administrative regulations have changed existing statute and the way that we, as a Board of Elections, have used as guidelines to conduct elections in the past. The main focus in the 2020 primary election was the promotion of mail-in ballots. In a normal presidential election, we would process around 100 mail-in ballots. In contrast, in our primary election, We processed around 3,500 mail-in ballots, or around 70% of the total votes cast in the primary election here in Spencer County. This was an enormous increase in time, man-hours, and expense. Our turnout for the primary election was a little over 31%, and we easily expect 70 or 80% turnout for the general election. When you look at the numbers, we will most likely process between 8,000 and 11,000 mail-in ballots. The web portal to request a mail-in ballot has been open since August 24th, and when I looked this morning, we are nearing 800 mail-in ballot requests that are in the queue. We have not received the ballots. The ballots have not been printed. They're awaiting my approval for approving the ballot proofs. We won't get our ballots until mid-September. I imagine by that time we can easily have double or triple the number of ballot requests. So we're looking at 2,000, 3,000 when we hit the ground running mid-September. This is the reason for the ballot processing committee. They saved our life in the primary election. We could not have run the election without them. The same people have agreed to come back and work as ballot processing committee members. They've been appointed by the County Board of Elections. The Board of Elections has appointed 8 people to this committee, and we are requesting that their rate of pay be approved today. We are requesting 8 people at $14 an hour. We also need to rent space in the chamber building again, because I can't do anything in my office. I cannot process the first mail-in ballot in my office. I simply do not have the room. We'll need to rent space in the chamber as we did in the primary election. They're proposing $200 a month. I have the rental contract that's awaiting approval, and that is also waiting for the fiscal court to approve. The next major change to the election process is the concept of no excuse early voting. The emergency regulation mandates, doesn't suggest, mandates that we as a county provide early voting at a minimum from October 13th through November 2nd. In addition, we are also mandated to provide early voting hours on 3 Saturdays prior to the election. That would be Saturday, October 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. And the hours that we are mandated to have early voting on Saturdays is at least from 8 a.m. till noon each Saturday. This is an added expense to counties, but may be partially reimbursed at some point in time. We have just been told that the amount that we were reimbursed for personnel expenses, which was around $7,600 in the primary, will be doubled, so we should be reimbursed around $15,000 or more. And we'll need it. Our current plan is to have 2 early voting locations to give more voters the opportunity to vote early. And this is an effort to try to reduce congestion and crowding on election day, therefore reducing exposure to COVID. We were originally considering having a mobile unit as our second location, but because of security concerns, staffing concerns, and a multiple of other concerns, we have decided that that's probably not our best option for our second location. Our first and primary location will be here at 80 East Main Street. Squire Travis has been able to secure office space for us again, the same office space we used in the primary election. It seemed to work out quite well. That will be one location. Our second location, we are looking into Elk Creek, possibly the fire station up near Elk Creek Roche Street. That would be free for us to use. It all depends on staffing, however. We have to staff these locations just like a regular precinct, which means at least 4 precinct workers at each location. The people who worked the main location here in Taylorsville have agreed to come back again. And the Board of Elections met and agreed to appoint 12 people as precinct election officers for these 2 locations. And the reason being is I've already been told by some of these precinct workers they will not be available on certain days. I have to have alternates to use. So it's going to be 8 regular precinct election officers and 4 alternate precinct election officers. And we are recommending a rate of pay of $14 an hour for these as well. Another issue is another major change in the election will be election day itself. In past election, voters could go to their local precinct to cast their vote. Obviously, we will not be able to open up all 8 precincts like we had in past elections. While we are being asked to greatly reduce the number of precincts on election day to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19, we are also being asked to open more than one voting location. Although the high school worked very, very well in our primary election, we are being asked to open up more than one location. In addition, before we can finalize our plans for recruitment, training, and placement of precinct officers to staff our polling locations, our election day plans must first be approved by the governor, the secretary of state, and the state board of election. It is our hope that this is done with expediency so that we can have the necessary time to arrange everything that we have to conduct an election. A lot of behind the scenes work goes on in conducting an election. All polling locations must by statute be staffed by a bipartisan group of precinct workers. And while this has been challenging in the past, this will be even more difficult this election. Training is still mandatory, and finding a way to train both workers who want to train in person and get hands-on training, which is very important. And there's also precinct workers who want virtual training. And that's going to be an obstacle to try to provide the mandatory training to both of these groups of people. Many of the volunteers who have stepped up and volunteered to work this election have never worked an election before. And because this is such a different procedure for this election, they are going to require extra training and time. Additional training is going to be needed for the use of the poll books, because paper rosters are not going to be allowed in this election, as was the case in the primary election. We have not used e-poll books in previous elections prior to the primary. They worked out pretty well in the primary, but that opens up a whole new array of issues that have to be dealt with before election day, such as the programming of the e-poll books, downloading voter data into these e-poll books, and just syncing them with Precinct Central. Although our initial plan has not officially been approved, our hopes is to provide polling locations on election day. Although this is not written in stone right now, the 3 proposed locations are the Spencer County High School, Spencer Christian Church, and Mount Eden Fire Department. I have gotten approval from Spencer Christian Church to use their facility. I've gotten approval to use the high school, and I've gotten approval to use Mount Eden Fire Department. So it's just getting our plans approved, getting our poll workers lined up and trained, and then setting up the precincts. We are mandated to have at least one of these precincts serve as a voter super center. And what this means is that any voter registered anywhere in the county can go to this location and cast their vote. What we are going to do on election day, if our plan is approved, is make all 3 voting locations voting super centers to try to make it more convenient for voters of Spencer County to cast their vote on election day. While this will be a convenience to the voters, it will present some extra cost to the county. So, we're trying to reduce the confusion to the voters that is out there already, because this is such a different election and the procedures are different. So if they can go to any location and cast their vote, that will be not only more convenient, but it will cut down the confusion. However, we will have to have each of these 3 locations will have to have all 8 ballot faces. Spencer County will have 8 different ballot faces for the general election. This is because not only do we have the presidential election, but we have school board, soil and water conservation, and city commission members are also on the ballot. So that will give us 8 separate ballots. We will have to have those 8 ballot faces available at each location. This will add some costs. This may or may not be reimbursed by the State Board of Elections. They have not made that clear yet. Because we will have to place postage on every outgoing ballot, I'm also asking for additional postage exclusively for the use of mail-in ballots. This will be reimbursed fully, but I have to have the postage now so we can start to process those ballots. I initially asked for $3,000. I think we're going to need to up that since there are so many ballot requests out there pending right now. It's $1.20 per ballot to mail out every ballot. As I said, this will be fully reimbursed by the State Board of Elections, but I have to have the funds up front, and I don't want to commingle my office postage cost with ballot postage cost. So due to the many changes in the election process, we must make sure that voters have all the information they need to be aware of the voting times, locations, and all of their voting options. This will require that we advertise more than we have in previous elections. In the primary election, we took out 2 full-page and a half-page ad in our local newspaper, but only to have voters say, I didn't know anything about that we had early voting. I didn't know where we were going to vote on election day. And I don't know if this is just voters not paying attention, but I think that we have to advertise a little bit more heavily in different venues. So Froggy Radio, and I don't know much about Froggy Radio, but from what I am told, it's got a very large audience here in Spencer County, and they have some very reasonably priced ad spaces. I think it's like $360 a week for 4 spots a week. And I am asking for some advertising costs. State Board of Elections initially, and Secretary of State said they had a $1 million budget for advertising. So we may get some reimbursement from them on this as well. I can't be certain, and I don't want to say that that's written in stone right now. They are supposed to help us advertise. Whatever that looks like is up to them to decide. But I think the radio advertisement would be a very good means to get the word out. Let me see. I'm also going to be taking out some very inexpensive ads on Facebook. I have printed up flyers that we're putting up in Country Mart and everywhere that people usually go. And we're basically doing everything we possibly can to let the voters know their options to vote in this election. It's a very important election. Spencer County had the highest turnout in the state for the 2016 presidential election. And this is a very, very hotly contested election. So we're going to have high turnout. I'm also asking for funds to have 2 double-sided 4x4 signs printed to alert voters to early voting locations, specifically one here in town and the one up in Elk Creek. So when voters drive down Taylorsville Road, it'll draw their attention that there's a voting location there. I think it's evident that we'll need to be able to move quickly and be able to have supplies delivered to locations quickly and without delay, since we really do not know at this time what to expect. So I am asking that I have the ability to have Parks Department move items for me without having to get prior approval. I usually do not use them for more than 30 minutes at a time. It's pretty important that we have the ability to move ballots from one location to another, to move machines. Now, this is not Election Day setup itself. I will need them for a longer period of time than 30 minutes on election, the day before election, to set up 3 precincts. What I'm talking about is moving items to the early voting centers, helping move tables around, getting the chamber room set up, and those sort of things. It slows everything down if I have to stop and get approval to use them before. Of course, I'm going to give the judge every bit of notice.
Has left the meeting.
And, that's not an issue. I will give notice. I just need the ability to be able to use them. I think those are our most pressing issues at this time. I'm sure that things will change during the course of the election, but I'm confident that this court is eager to facilitate our citizens' ability to cast their vote on this very important and very unconventional election. And if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them for what I know for right now.
Okay, let's take first things first here. I think you need a court approval to approve the hiring of 12 precinct election officers, 8 regular and 4 alternates, a rate of $14 per hour. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve, Mike Miller.
Okay, Mike, and who's going to second that?
Second, Tim Blair.
Okay, Tim. Any questions? If not, call the roll.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike.
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. Next is rental of the Chamber of Commerce building. Did you give us an amount on that yet, or
It's $200 a month for a total. I'll need it for about 6 weeks, a total of $400.
$400? Okay. I hear a motion.
Squire Brewer make a motion.
All right, who's seconding that?
Jim.
Beaverson.
All right, Brett. Okay, call the roll on that.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and I'm liable to leave something out here. I'm just trying to go through the menu of things. Postage, how much do you need to put in for postage for the election?
Initially $5,000.
That's what you're asking for now? Do I
Yes,
hear
sir.
a motion?
Mhm.
Who's going to make a motion on that?
Jim will make a motion to approve that.
Okay, who's going to second that?
This is Jerry. I'll second it.
Okay, Jerry, and if there's no discussion, call the roll, please.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next is to advertise. You mentioned Froggy and Facebook. You've also got some 4x4 signs. I would assume that would be under advertising.
Oh, that's separate.
Okay, but it's essentially part of advertising, or if not, that's fine. We'll do it separately. So what do you need in the way of advertising?
I'm asking for $1,000 for the radio ads, the Facebook ads, and newspaper.
Okay, $1,000. Who wants to make that motion?
Squire Brewer make a motion to advertise up to $1,000.
Okay. Who's going to second that?
Jim, second.
All right. If there's no question, call the roll.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next up is the 4x4 sign. There.
$400.
Who wants to make that motion?
Mike Moody.
Travis.
Mike and Jim Travis second.
Okay.
Yes.
Call the roll, please.
Squire Brewer,
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the only other note that I have here is with regard to Parks Department. You know that they're willing to help anytime. I just want to keep abreast of what they're doing. As everyone knows, they take their direction from me as the county judge executive. All I need is to know that they will work with you, and so I don't think we need a motion or anything on that. But is there anything else, Lynn, that we need to take action on?
Yes, the ballot processing committee and their rate of pay. There's 8 of them that were appointed.
Okay, 8 people for ballot processing.
Rate of pay of 14, same as the precinct election officer.
$14. Do I hear a motion?
Jim will make that motion.
Okay, Jim. And Brett.
This is Jerry.
Oh, Jerry. Okay, Jerry seconded. Okay, that's for 8 ballot processors that are $14 an hour. Call the roll, please.
Squire Mike Moody,
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer.
Yes.
Okay, so just to clarify, is it okay if I ask the Parks Department to help me for just short periods of time?
Yeah, but please do that through my office if you don't mind.
What do you mean do it through your office?
Well, just simply let us know when you need.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I don't have to wait though for a reply, it's a little bit easier.
Well, we usually respond pretty quick. So, okay.
I got one other question for Lynn. What about the prepaid phones and the computers that we used last time? Are you going to need those again, or you have ideas for different things, or?
Well, the county didn't pay any money for the computers. Those were lent to us by the schools, and I still have them. I emailed Eric Cecil and asked him to pick them up. He never did. I still have the state computers and the scanners and the hotspots from the state. Those will be reinstalled. I'll tell you, I don't need these phones, and I really did not use them. So
okay, all right.
We can get rid of them. Just tell me what you want done with them because I don't need them.
Okay, I was just making sure that you hadn't forgotten anything, but you're on top of it. I understand.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Anything else?
I'm good with the election. Well, I'm not good with the election, but that's all with the election.
Well, it's okay. If there's nothing else in that regard, we'll move on to ordinance number 2. It's adoption of Jackson Drive into the county road system. This is a first reading, and that's I'd be happy to read it if you want me to, but I think we can spare that.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's in my district. I'll make a motion that we approve the adoption of Jackson Drive into the county road system.
We've got a motion.
Mike Moody, second.
And Mike's going to second that. Any discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Squire Brewer?
Yes.
Squire Mike Moody?
Yes.
Squire Beaverson?
Yes.
Judge Riley?
Yes.
Squire Travis?
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. So we'll get that advertised and get it prepared for a second reading at a future meeting. So with that, we're going to move on to review and approval of expenditures, purchases, and transfers. Do I hear a motion?
Jim, make the motion to pay the bills for incorrections.
That's
and do the transfers.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a motion. Anybody want to second it?
Jim will second it.
I do need to add 2 other transfers.
Okay. There's 2 other transfers that and
behind the park mower and the
okay, we'll need to do transfers for the purchase of the 2 mowers for the parks and for the power cots for EMS. So do we have the line items?
the transfer to equipment. And I'll send an email to the clerk or whatever the numbers.
Okay, the treasurer, I don't know if you can hear the treasurer with. He is going to send the clerk, and actually we can send it to all the matters as well, but the details on these transfers, it's $21,000 for the purchase of the mowers. And
167,000 on the stretchers.
167,000 on the power cut, and we'll have the line item numbers and so forth for you on those. But we'll need to approve those transfers as well. So Jim and Tim both, if you would include that in your motion and your second, we can go on.
I will include those transfers.
Okay. Tim, you're okay with that?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. You were definitely unsure. So, okay. So we've got a motion and a second. Please call the roll. Unless there's any questions, I'm sorry.
I've got a question, Chuck.
Okay, go ahead. Gary.
What did we have for the total parks to transfer?
$21,000.
Yeah, and we'll put, just want to make sure we have enough to keep the transfer transfers now. We have line item. We do. We put some.
I misunderstood you. What was the total for the park?
For the parks, it was a transfer of $21,000, and that's from the Spears Drive project. We had some left over in that line item.
Right now, there's like $4,000 in the parks equipment line item, and I don't want to use it all up. So,
okay, so that'll be you'll have enough in there to cover for the 2 more. Is that correct?
As soon as we approve this motion, yeah. And on the power cots, 167,000. Is that going to come from EMS salaries to the equipment line item? So those are the additional transfers. Any other questions? If not, call the roll, please.
Squire Jerry Moody, Mike Moody, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Squire Beaverson,
Yes.
Judge Riley,
Yes.
Squire Travis,
Yes.
Squire Jerry Moody,
Yes.
Squire Brewer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, and well, I know we'll all be glad to get back to having regular meetings. It's our maiden voyage on WebEx. It has been a little bit funky, but I think the more we get used to it, will work better for us. It's being live streamed on YouTube. It's kind of an advantage. But before we move this to the last of the meeting, and it's since it's 11:33, I think maybe people could understand why. But I wanted to hold off on citizen comments and communications from citizens to the last of it, because we did have an awful lot of stuff to cover. So at this time, we're going to unmute everyone. And if you want to be recognized, let us know. And
Roy Legaspi.
Roy Legaspi, I'm going to recognize you for 3 minutes.
My name's Roy Legaspi, and I'd like to be on the record with my comments. I understand that I get 3 minutes, whether it's in the beginning of the meeting or at the end of the meeting, I get 3 minutes. It makes no difference that the 3 minutes is going to be used. You people still have to be there, and I'm really speaking to you as well as the constituents on the record. So I believe that it's just a miscalculated request to move the minutes or the comments from the people and citizens of this county to the end of the meeting to circumvent certain things that have happened in the press recently with regards to the judge executive's office. As far as the phone systems are expensive. When you move a phone system, it's very expensive. I would encourage all of the magistrates to look at the phone system and calculate the cost of moving the phone system from an old building to a new building, whether it be refurbished or not. That is an expense to the county that we do not need. I would admonish the magistrates to make sure that you have a complete RFP for the phone system, because it is so expensive, and that you distribute it out not only in the paper, but in several papers, so that you get multiple bids and get the best system. AT&T sometimes isn't always the best system. As far as the renovation of the court building, Oldham County is currently going through the system. They do not have any county employees in the court building, and the administrative offices of the court will assume all expenses as far as the renovation of the historical court building in Oldham County. I suggest that the magistrates look into that. And again, I will be communicating with them with regards to moving the county offices out of the court building and into a separate office. Finally, the EMS department continues to spend money, continues to use the 24-hour employee. We pay them for sleeping. We also have increased our expenses at the EMS department, and nobody is looking at auditing the employee hourly rates. the hourly working hours. No one is looking at auditing the expenses. We just continue to spend. We should look at outsourcing the EMS department and stop this bleeding. The expenses are out of control and we just rubber stamped another $200,000. Thank you for your comments and thank you for allowing me to talk.
All right. Who wants to be recognized next? I'm not hearing anyone. Anyone want their...
To adjourn.
We've got a motion to adjourn, Squire Beaverson. I don't think anybody wants to second that motion, Squire.
Squire Brewer, second it.
Oh, Squire Brewer. We've got a motion. We've got a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed. We are now adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Tim Brewer.
Has left the meeting.
Jerry Moody.
Has left the meeting.
Jim.
Has left the meeting.